Yes, guys, it's second morning. The fatigue is already being felt. Sleep deprivation. Not wanting to get out of bed. But we persevere to meet new adventures. Our Navy SEAL is ready to explore new depths. So yahoy and be with us. Nothing is as satisfying in the morning as dealing with Egyptian cab drivers. They will entice you on board in every way possible. And then they'll happily charge you top dollar if you don't know the real cab prices. But we don't care about those harmful capitalists even today. We have our own vehicle issues as well. Yes, only Egyptians could put plastic wheels with rubber inflatables in a suitcase that carries more than 50 pounds of weight everyday inserts. We really need a tire shop. While waiting for Ehab, our little diver gathers his thoughts. Today, she's facing a full-fledged dive on the high seas. In a case like this, there's no such thing as a trifle. Good thing gasoline prices in Egypt are slightly higher than water prices. It's bad when you have to walk the distance from the hotel entrance and to the dive center. Often the hotels are very large. And a 15-minute hike on their underside is a dubious pleasure. If you find yourself at the center before 9 a.m. while all the dive boats are still docked, you'll be greeted with a lot of commotion. A large number of divers professionals, beginners, and tourists alike swarm between the instructors, their assistants, and other employees of the center. You need to sign the papers, receive and check out the rental equipment and take your place on the boat. The more serious the center, the more professionals. And for newcomers, that's good news. You will always be able to talk to competent instructors from different countries. Learn the latest life hacks. Get some interesting tips. On the Prince Sabe dive boat, I have been getting all my certifications and will be coming soon for new ones. The vessel can hardly be called new, but it was made and operated exclusively for diving. This means you'll always have easy access to your cylinders, good equipment racks, and a qualified team roster. Someone had thoughtfully placed a red carpet on the dry deck. It starts your journey underwater. It's a sin not to take advantage of it. Instructors don't wait for the moment the boat sails away from the marina. Your briefing will begin almost immediately. Professional divers will talk about the exercises you will have to do underwater. About the dive sites to be visited. We'll supervise scuba assembly and point out errors, if you have any. Watching and memorizing the schedule of a dive instructor's day in Egypt. In case you want to be one someday, too. This work is difficult, associated with risks, constant moral and physical tension. So treat your teacher with respect and understanding. Your life also depends on his comfort. Briefing's over. Equipment check is done. And here it is, your first independent step overboard. Hold the regulator and mask with your right hand so that you don't lose it at the moment of entry into the water. And find your teacher on the water surface. After the first day of closed water training, the warm sea is no longer stressful. You simply repeat the sequence of actions you've learned. After all, there is a wonderful world waiting for you, full of discoveries and incredible encounters. No, the fear isn't going anywhere that fast. But the need to exercise pushes it to the back of the mind. Today's first exercise is called hovering. Your task is to assume the pose of an Indian monk and stay at the same depth for at least 6 seconds. This is where Ludmilla stunned us both. Completing this assignment made me sweat. Progress didn't appear until the third or even fourth try. My wife, on the other hand, did it right the first time. Sometimes what we are initially insanely afraid of can turn out so much better than others. Conquering your fear is your own personal accomplishment. And, of course, the credit goes to the talented faculty. Ludovic is a very talented woman, especially when something needs to be memorized from a book. She quickly mastered the technique of underwater signs. But in doing so, she created a problem for herself. When the instructor shows the signs, "out of oxygen," and "give me air," she immediately comes to the rescue. Forgetting that the instructor shows a sign at the end that it's up to her to ask for air. To demonstrate the spare regulator transfer and joint surfacing. There are two things to remember in these contingencies. First, you hold each other's hand tightly. Second, you add air to your buoyancy compensator gradually and leisurely. Simultaneously with a buddy partner so that your ascent to the surface is slow and steady. The first teacher will remain forever in your heart. He will not only discover the underwater world for you, but also help you with your first choice of equipment. Will tell you about interesting dive sites. Goes to the dive shop with you and talks about the real prospects of making money in diving. Who hasn't thought about that already at the beginning of school? And, of course, will guide you through the most interesting underwater route between exercises. Not only do you have to learn how to dive, but you also have to learn how to behave properly below sea level. It's always worth understanding. Why do you need it? Pool training will not provide such opportunities. Learning to scuba dive should by no means turn into a school classroom. Otherwise, any student will lose all interest in it very quickly. Also, in recreational diving, you practice all of your skills without stressing yourself too much. Admiring the surrounding splendor and getting used to the equipment and breathing underwater. Watching my little diver use his hands less and less when moving, my heart fills with pride and love. Ludmila's successes attract dozens of curious divers. I'm kidding. Simply popular dive site Gata Abu Ramada attracts hundreds of snorkelers of all skill levels every day. You can get a closer look at this dive site in another video on our channel. I'll try to tag it in the corner of the screen and be sure to leave a link in the description. The underwater inhabitants, whether stingrays or barracudas, will never ask if you have a diver's certificate and, if so, what kind. They care about the peace and quiet of their surroundings. Therefore, if the fish show unexpected interest in you, do not make sudden movements. And if they stay away, you shouldn't chase them and scare them with their unexpected appearance. They won't appreciate it. The instructor will always show you something interesting on his own. And will point out the danger. For example, this cute crocodile fish, despite its quiet disposition and ability to camouflage, belongs to the scorpions. Which means that the needles on its fin are extremely poisonous and should never be touched. If you behave calmly, do not make sudden movements, do not wave your hands and do not rub against the coral, the animal world of the Red Sea itself will invite you to admire yourself. And there's always something to admire. Just assess the buoyancy. It's perfect. Want to learn how to do the same? Message me on Instagram direct or leave your requests in the comments. We are always happy to open the gates to a new world for new people. Provide training and guide you along the path from teabag to professional. Dissolving in the splendor of the coral reef, we didn't notice more than 40 minutes had passed. At the same time, Ludmila used up only half of the cylinder. This is an outstanding result not only for the novice diver, but also for professionals. However, we don't want to delay the boat from moving to another point on the reef and set off for a 3-minute safety stop. To avoid getting motion sickness and comfortably surfacing from 18 meters depth. Yahoo! 50 minutes. And this hovering. It was delicious. Tears and snot?
What?
How's it feel?
Okay, it's okay.
Very nice artificial voice for my wife. Indeed. Yes, guys, Ludmila is a born diver, a natural-born diver. Preparation for the next exercise, working with the buoy, requires preliminary explanations on shore. Note another character who has joined our briefing. It's Yuri. At the age of 11, he received a terrible electric shock and lost his arm and the ability to walk normally. But his inquisitive mind and passion for adventure helped him to conquer Mount Elbrus and annually fly to Egypt for underwater diving. With unrivaled resilience, he learns the basics of snorkeling and scuba diving lessons. We wish Yuri success in his next dive and immediately follow his example. Let's go underwater. Ludmila's biggest fear has always been depth, not meters and pressure. NBSP, the possibility of an emergency resurfacing if something goes wrong. But surfacing like that, even from a 6-foot depth, can do serious damage to your lungs. So emergency surfacing is our next activity. The instructor suggests that you take 3 breaths and then begin the ascent to the surface, all the while exhaling air through the regulator. Like at a doctor's appointment when you show your throat and say "ah." Only here your "ah" should last for the duration of the ascent. This allows the airways to be left open, and for the air to expand and exit your lungs in peace, so as not to injure them. Since the signal buoy exercises are done before surfacing, we have as much as 100 bar in the tank to explore the underwater world of Gada Abu Ramada Reef. And we use this time to our advantage and pleasure. Ehab shows swarms of fish attracted here feeding exclusively to tourist divers who want enchanting photos of their dives. And also familiarizes the young diver with trigger fish, belonging to the family of pufferfish. This creature is only 5% of fish. The other 95% is anger and a desire to bite. Sailing past our tandem, couldn't help but notice the lack of rental equipment. Air is coming out of the gauge, which is not good. We need to report the problem to the instructor immediately and bring it to the attention of the crew after surfacing. And I offer you a minute to admire the poisonous fish scorpion, other inhabitants and colors of the underwater kingdom. Without my tedious comments.
Keep going with the flow, but it feels we're moving slow while my head's still underwater. I'm losing track of time, and your arms are missing mine, and my head's still underwater. Though I'm right here, and it's right now, I'm still losing sense, it don't make sense, but I can keep on wondering about things I should have done instead. Though we're right here, and it's right now, gotta take the time to cross the line and find the place where we align. Am I losing my mind? Tell me why can I rewind? My head's still underwater while my nerves are caving in. Oh, you take me home. I don't care how far we go, to reach the stage where we belong and where we'll both become. Right there, and it's right now, I'm still losing sense, it don't make sense, but I can keep on wondering about things I should have done.
No, how can I keep silence? Remember our video, Can I Kiss a Moray Eel? If not, the link is in the description. Well, he does kiss them. And stunned from the unexpected caresses of moray eels, then long stay in prostration and thoughtfulness. And here's a baby wingfish, aka lionfish. Little Simba. The poisonous wings and needles grow first, then the eyes, and then everything else. Simply, to survive. As always, I couldn't do it without comment. Back to our divers, then. And Ludmila's delight in following the rules. Ehab convinces Luda to show her masterpiece hovering again. But Ludmila has clearly learned the main rule. You cannot hold your breath, so with enviable stubbornness lets the air out of her lungs and stays on the day. Come on, instructor, let's get down to business. Uncoil your buoy. The technique for inflating this signaling device differs from teacher to teacher. Ehab prefers to inflate the buoy from the octopus. It's a really easy way to do it. Bring the device to the valve. The button was pressed. They flew off with the buoy to collect honey for Winnie the Pooh. If you don't get caught in time, or you don't have the perfect ability to control your position in the water, I prefer to inflate the buoy through the regulator deflectors. Exhaust air. As a result, we don't waste air in the cylinder. Control the slow inflation of the device. There is no need to remove the octopus from its proper place. To each his own. The main task is to make sure that the buoy is at least 3 minutes earlier than you on the surface, and the captains of passing boats and yachts from above recognized that under them the diver surfaced.
Am I losing my mind? Tell me why can I rewind? My head's still underwater while my nerves are caving in. Oh, you
And ahead is the final divebot climb of the day. I always get a little sad at this point. After all, the next dive isn't for another week.
where we'll both be gone.
It's good to have someone around to discuss the dive with. All the things I've seen and experienced. Say goodbye to one of your favorite reefs for a while. Or just sit on the bow of the yacht, enjoy the warm wind and the approach of the city that has become a second home. However, for all these calming activities, don't forget to rinse your equipment under fresh water at the stern of the boat. Gather all the inventory, and prepare to go ashore.
I'm good. I'm very good.
Now we're going to go see what this young lady does after diving. Luda, get up. Ehab is calling you to go
Are
underwater.
you stupid? That's it for today.
And for today, my dear subscribers, that's really all. 2/3 of the way through. We have one last push ahead of us. I hope we get through it with you. Yahoy!